headed our way or not? What's the weather like where you are?
We are. Well, it's raining, but I am definitely going to get to Shreveport. I'm going to be leaving, I think, in about an hour and a half, and heading to Shreveport, and then I'm going to try very hard after some time on the ground there to get over to Monroe.
Okay. What have you sent up this way for help? We're still dealing with it. Still raining here. It's been a messy week.
Well, first of all, I directed Colonel Evanson of the State Police to make sure that our troopers are pulling double shifts, and we've also dispatched a number of high water vehicles and from the National Guard, as well as individuals from the National Guard to help. I will tell you that the local offices of emergency preparedness have been working extremely hard, but also very effectively with the folks here in Baton Rouge at GOSEP. And this really is a team effort. And of course, this is a very dangerous situation. And what we don't want is people out sightseeing unnecessarily. There's an awful lot of road closures, as you know. And in fact, the numbers of roads that have been closed exceed our ability to put the barricades out and put the high water signs. And so sometimes there are roads that are not passable, but there's not necessarily going to be signage indicating that. And so we're asking everyone to be as vigilant and as careful as possible. Don't go out and cause unnecessary problems. We just don't need that. And certainly we're asking everyone to obey road closures and not jeopardize themselves. We know that we've already had some fatalities around the state because of people driving in high water. And so we want people to be safe. And although the weather's going to improve a little bit today, there's so much water on the ground. The ground is so saturated that even scattered thunderstorms will be enough to keep the water up for some extended period of time. And so people should not believe that just because the weather isn't as bad as it has been over the last 36 hours, that they're free to get out and move around. That will not be the case today.
Governor, we had heard, good heavens, we had a couple of folks on from the National Weather Service. I know there was Michelle Davison from the Red Cross on this morning, and they are referring to the weather situation here, the rain here over the last 72 hours, as literally unprecedented, i.e. we've never seen anything like this before. I know Cross Lake is at a level that it has never, ever seen, close to 180 feet. What in Baton Rouge have you guys heard about our situation up here?
Well, I mean, look, those are the facts. We have people who are living in homes, and some of the older folks have been living in these homes for 50 years or more, and they've never flooded, never come close to flooding. This is, you talk about that 100-year flood event, and this may be it. It may be a flood event that actually hasn't happened in the last 100 years. I mean, the red chute over in Bossier, for example, overtopping levees in places that have never happened. I mean, this, and if you travel, let the water travel south in the Sabine River, you should see the water flowing over the dam at the south end of Toledo Bend. It looks like Niagara Falls, and that river is going to crest several feet higher than it did in 1989, which was the record. And so we've got flooding down there. And look, all the way across to Monroe. Monroe actually received more rain than Shreveport. Yeah. And down in southeast Louisiana now, because of the southeast wind blowing out of the Gulf and across the Lake Pontchartrain, it's backing rivers up, and so the water's not able to flow south. And there are rescues taking place in my home parish in Tangipahoa, off of the Tangipahoa River, and they're having set up shelters. So this truly is a historic event, not the kind of history you like to make, but you don't get any choices about these things. You just have to try to be prepared and then respond as best as you can to make sure that people are safe. Yes, ma'am.
Your first time probably as governor, where you're now going to have to. It's your job to call for federal help, call for FEMA to try to get that in motion. Have you done that, and or will you be doing that ASAP?
Well, first of all, FEMA has been embedded with us throughout. Until we exhaust our ability to respond to the requests coming from the parishes through the OEPs, there is not a role for FEMA. Now, when the water starts receding, and we calculate the damage, we may have damage that exceeds the threshold that allows us then to have federal participation in paying the cost associated with the storm. But there's a disaster declaration for the entire state. But we're talking with FEMA every day, and in fact, I spent some time on the phone yesterday with folks in the White House. There is no role for a federal disaster declaration on this type of an event at this point. That's correct.
Well, FEMA was here in '91, and it looks like we're surpassing that. Has there been a change?
No. Well, it could change, but there are no requests coming from the offices of emergency preparedness around the state that we're not able to respond to. And one of the things you have to do before you can ask for a federal disaster declaration is you've got to point out that there are resources that you don't have, that the federal government have, that would be helpful. Now, the disaster declaration may come once we start measuring the damage, and the damage exceeds the threshold necessary to get federal participation in paying for repairing the damage.
Doesn't it, pardon me, John, doesn't it really speak well of the state of Louisiana and the state of our preparedness that hasn't been necessary to get FEMA in here?
Well, I think that's right, and I spent several hours on the phone last night talking to parish presidents and directors of Office of Emergency Preparedness. For example, I spoke to Sheriff Prater last night in Shreveport just to confirm that there have not been any requests for assistance that we've not been able to meet, and he confirmed that. And in fact, they're being met in a very timely manner. I'll tell you, it is a testament to the good people that we have working both at the state and local levels. And maybe we're too practiced in this. You know, maybe it happens more often in Louisiana, but for whatever reason, you know, we have gotten very good at responding to these kind of situations and doing that in partnership with local officials.
When are you expecting to come up our way? Is that imminent? Because Robert wants to buy you lunch.
Well, I'm coming up later today. I don't know that he'll have an opportunity to buy me lunch. I was actually scheduled to be in Shreveport yesterday. There was no way. I was going to meet. I was going to tour the port facility. I had some meetings with some educators. I was going to meet with some local elected officials, but we just weren't able to do that. And of course, it would have been a terrible distraction for me to try to keep that schedule given everything that was happening on the ground. So I've asked my staff to reschedule a trip to Shreveport as soon as possible. And as you know, we do start our next session on Monday. But we'll get up there.
Just to clarify the lunch thing, I was going to take you to lunch. I was going to get Jack Bailey to pay.
Well, Jack can buy that. That'll be good.
Jack can swing it.
Can we chat with you next week about budget stuff? Because I know there's a lot of questions up here, and I know this flooding situation took precedence.
Yeah, we can do that. I will make myself available to you to talk next week about the budget. I will tell you that I was listening to your news program, and suffice it to say right now that the Legislative Fiscal Office is still trying to decipher what the legislature did in the last day. They can't tell us how much revenue was raised or not raised, and therefore what the shortfalls are between the current year and next year, although it's probably in the $50 to $60 million range this year, which means more than $200 million in cuts since I became governor, and $800 million is the approximate figure for next year, which is a huge number as well. But I'll have more information on that next week, as well as how we're going to propose to deal with that when we start the session.
Governor Edwards, just sort of a little, you're going to come back next week, that's awesome, but just sort of a little tease for next week's conversation. If you had to give me odds of calling another special session, would it be 10%, 50%, 80%? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm going to say 50% today.
I'm going to say 80%.
Well, it may be. I've got to find out exactly what these shortfalls are, and 50% is kind of a flippant answer because either we're going to do it or we're not going to do it. Yeah. So there's two choices, so it's 50. But I want to say 50% today. I will have a much better idea next time we speak, which hopefully will be next week.
But if we made it like a multiple choice question, none of the above would not be in there?
None of the above would not be in there, no.
Okay, I hope we still have a helicopter that we haven't cut out of the budget yet that you can come up here on.
We do. It's just a question of the weather, and I will be hopefully taking off from Baton Rouge at about 10 o'clock, headed to Shreveport, and I'll meet with Sheriff Prater and Mayor Tyler and others around the Office of Emergency Preparedness there before I head over to Monroe.
Well, be safe. Thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.